Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Hunker Morris & Co.
In this episode, we're going to explain a little bit about what we're doing with the Land Rover that we picked up in the last episode, and explain what we're doing and explain why we're doing it. So for those of you that don't follow us on Instagram, and if you don't, you probably should, you won't know Festy. So Festy is a 96 model Festiva that I paid $200 for, brought it home, and the intention was just to have a little car to buzz around the yard, build a crane off the back, and a tow hitch just to snig trailers and stuff around. And basically, yeah, we've got a few good years out of Festy. Festy's done some pretty crazy stuff in the backyard.
She's got a face that only a mother could love.
Yeah, she's lifted some
pretty much like him.
She's lifted some heavy loads, and she's actually helped us out quite a bit. But unfortunately, we've got electrical issues, and like I said, paid $200. Not worth the time and the effort to get it fixed. So that's the idea behind the Land Rover, and to be honest, we need to go four-wheel drive, and we need something that's a little bit bigger for some upcoming activities that we're going to be involved in. So I'll give you a bit of a walk around Festy, have a look, and then we'll go and talk about the Land Rover. Righto, so as you can see, Festy's a bit of a weapon, but Festy's dead. So we've got the crane on the back. It's done some pretty heavy lifting, and it's only a slap together thing just to get us out of trouble, but it worked. So who cares? Basically,
sound like a fart in a Milo tin.
Yeah, she does.
It was horrible.
I'd love to start. Actually, we'll drop some videos. There's a couple of videos of Festy in action. We'll throw them in for you guys to have a look.
It's embarrassing. It really is.
Yeah, Festy was running good. Started to drop a few cylinders or something. I don't know. There was something wrong, and it sounded terrible. And at the end, I think it was running on one cylinder, and it could barely move its own weight. So
we have really abused it though.
We flogged it.
We haven't treated it well.
But that's the idea. So anyway, we'll explain what's going on with the Land Rover. Bit of an overview on that, and we might do a little bit of work on it. We'll see.
I'm stopping you from whinging.
Disaster recovery.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a sticky steering wheel.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Your daughter didn't do it.
Your son did.
Well,
Your
why?
responsibility, your son.
But he's just like you. He's your kid.
Look at that. Sticky tape.
Oi,
Duct tape on the steering wheel. What's
that bit's
going to
sticky.
do? Everybody knows what that's going to do when it cops a bit of sun. It's coming off right
And
now.
that's why these are out here.
Right now. I'll tell you. So, as we mentioned in previous video, this thing's been in the family for a while. Sat out at the farm for about 8 years. It's never really gone good, I could say. Like, it's always hasn't run properly. So anyway, we're going to have a play with it. We're going to see what we can do to get the engine running properly, and this is going to be the Festi replacement. So this is Festi 2.0, whatever. So we're going to get the engine going, get all that running properly. The brakes are pretty average, so we're going to have to look at doing something there. The clutch is average as well, just because everything's been sitting for so long. And then we may take the crane out of the back of Festi, put that in here, or we may build something totally different. I don't know. You can see she's already got the guards opened up for big tyres, huge tyres. No, they're not really. They're 33s. Custom rims, so we actually made these rims, cut the centres out of some old Sunnies and machined up some new centres. I mean, they work for what this thing does, cruising around the farm. There's a lot of rust, a lot of things that aren't quite 100%, but I mean, it's solid. Everything's good enough, as long as it's mechanically okay. And it's got a crane on the back, that's all we really care about. I mean, the tyres, all 4 tyres hold air, so that's not a bad thing. But there's a big girl, the big 173. Yep, old Holden 6. So I haven't actually touched it yet, haven't tried to play with it, so we will cover a little bit of that. We'll try and get it going. And see, I mean, I'm sure it will. It shouldn't take too much to get it humming again, but yeah, there's a lot. Like, we cut the front guards off, there's no front grille, we've got a bonnet, there's no windscreen, so we're going to try and make, you know, a roof, a windscreen, things like that. So yeah, let's do it. So we had the master back in for the clutch, was testing on it, trying to get it to bleed up, and then the piston inside the master got stuck. So I pulled it back out, had a look, and for some reason, that's the master there out of a patrol that I used, and I ended up, she was sore, I grabbed the one off the G60. Oh, that's not it. Here it is, found it. That's the one off the G60, so I ended up, pulled the piston out of that one, just because the other one was a bit cleaner. Put the piston in the new one, and it's done the same thing. So there's something not right with this. So I was nearly going to buy another one, had to dig around. I knew I had another couple in the shed, and that's what I do. You'll notice that a lot with everything that we do here. I'll try and use bits and pieces off different cars or things that I got laying around. I hate going to the shops if I don't have to, and if there's old stuff here that I can use and you know, reuse and make, you know, use of and save it, then why not? You know, it's better than having it sitting in the shed. So anyway, I've got one here that I got off an old Hilux years ago, and I knew I had it in the shed, I just couldn't find it. So I found it the other day. It's totally different with the way it mounted, so I had to flip the way the bolts were, re-welded them on, changed it up, put that in, and it seems to be working a lot more freely. So of course the lines that come out of it aren't the same, they're different. So we're going to throw that back on now. We're going to make up some new lines to go from this down to the slave and basically take 2. We'll see how we go. So we'll whip a line together and we'll put it all in. so that's the top half made. We're going to mount this in, fit this up, and then work out where we've got to bend it and whatever to fit down to slope cylinder hose. Get on it. Righto, so we bolted up. Thought we'd give that a bit of a rough coat of paint and rebuild the power steering box while we're going. The old rattle can rebuild. That'll do. She's good to go. Anyway, that's in. It's all bolted up. Pedals there. The slave's down there. So that's, we bolted him in before. Cleaned up. So yeah, this hose here. The pipe. It's gonna be tricky. Oh, a problem. We have a problem. Anyway, we'll have to put another little bend on that and we'll slip it around, meet it up down there, just here, and go from there. So, mount it up, pipes in, tightened up, we'll fill her up. Hook the old bleeder on and we'll see what happens. So I should have showed before we pulled this apart, but that whole clutch system, everything was just locked up, wouldn't move, you couldn't push the pedal. Nothing worked at all. The thing was, you pop it out of gear and that was it. So that's a massive win. Everything's good to go. So now that I'm happy with that, what we've also got is, I'll have a quick look. I did rebuild, rattle can rebuild, just cleaned it up. So the handbrake assembly, we'll put that back in a sec. So that was the same deal. It was all seized up. You pull the lever up, it wouldn't stay up, it just dropped back down. The little mechanism was just rusted, corroded, full of gunk and whatnot. So that's done. We might throw that in next and then I'll move on to the brakes and we'll try and get the brake system cleaned up. We'll bleed it up and then that's it. So all the hydraulic systems, everything should be done. Braking, clutch. Then we might move on to the engine. We'll see if we get the bad boy turning over. So clutch done. This is the next task. Doesn't, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty rusty. Can't get that lid off. It's leaking, but it won't come off. It's stuck. So we're going to try and, because this used to feed out of the bottom here, used to go to the clutch. And then that one goes to the brakes, obviously. They used to share the same fluid. So now that we've got the Hilux master in, we don't need this to feed the clutch, so this will only feed the brakes. So I may look at something different for this, something a bit easier, a bit better than that. It's fairly corroded. I'm waiting for the day that, you know, that one's fine because it's only low pressure, but these pressure lines, I don't know. So yeah, we'll see if we can rip this apart and figure out where we go from there. Alright, so that didn't come apart too badly. Got the pedal assembly sitting there just soaking in a bit of crap. There it is. Come out okay. It seems to be pretty, like, works okay, so might just pull it apart and check on it, give it a good look. The thing I'm worried about though is that can't get the lid off. Still tried. That doesn't look very healthy. Under that, oh shit, leaking. Whoa, whoa. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The master seems to be good. It's purely just the little tank that fills the fluid into it. I don't know, I might be able to rig up something different. We'll have a look. I'll pull that apart, I'll have a quick look inside that, make sure it is okay. If it is, then we'll figure out what we do with that. If that's bad, then we may look at adapting something different off, I don't know, something that I've got laying around, we'll see. So anyway, we'll rip into that, we'll have a look and then go from there. So everything's apart. Looks okay actually. Everything cleaned up okay. Bit hard to see. But in there's alright, everything's sweet, so that's good. We'll pop this back together and so we managed to get the lid off this, and it's actually not too bad inside. It's pretty clean. So didn't need that fitting there because that used to go to the clutch. So we just need this one. Tried to get that off, no chance. I think we're going to break all this if I try too much harder. So leave it there. Basically cleaned it up, gave it that a rattle can rebuild. So she's good to go. Master's good, same deal, pulled it apart, gave it a bit of a clean, wasn't too bad actually overall. It's good, rattle can rebuild, and the pedal box is good to go. So everything's right. I think we should be sweet to punch all this back together, and then the only thing we'll have to do is build a new brake line to go from here down to the manifold block that's on the chassis. Bleed the brakes up again, then we should be good. So we'll bang all this together and we'll go from there. There we go, all together. the bolt inside there was an absolute nightmare to get, but we got there. So it's all assembled. Pretty nifty with these. Like the Land Rovers, I don't know, they got some good things and some bad things, but what I love about them is that you can, everything's modular, I suppose you could say. So you can take the floor out, all this brake pedal assembly comes apart, everything's there. So it's all simple, easy to work on, easy to adjust. Clutch is the same. It's just, I don't know, I think they're built to fix sort of on the run, I think, and it's just, you know, I don't know, there's probably guys out there, comments if you've worked on them before and if you like them or if there's things you don't like, I mean, let me know. But, you know, I haven't really worked on it before. Like I said, we've had that thing for a while. I've never personally really played with it. But, I mean, I'm liking it. I was cursing it a little bit to start with because the clutch is a bit of a, like the slave's a bit of a pain to get to. But yeah. Anyway, the slave's a bit of a prick to get to, but there's a bracket that holds it on, and it's like 3 bolts, take the bracket off, and the whole assembly again comes apart. There's a pin that goes in there, you take the pin out and off it comes. So I'm kind of enjoying it. It's pretty easy, and the fact that, I mean, the front end's off this thing, but if the front end was on it, everything unbolts. Like the bonnet comes off, piece of cake, the guards unbolt. So, I mean, I'm impressed. After working on a few other cars where it's really, really tight, and you know, the fact that I brought a hoist to get things up in the air, now working on this thing, yeah, it's good. So anyway, we'll go and throw this in and we'll measure up and get a brake line made, and then hopefully that's another job off the list. So it's in. That's what I was saying about everything being modular. So that comes out, brake assembly, clutch is there, comes out, so much easier to work on, and all the floors out. So it all just unbolts. It's all sitting in the back. Floor, everything comes out. The handbrake comes off, so I'll put that back in. That now works. That was all seized up. Clutch, brake, accelerator, all there. Nice shiny coat of paint so they look like new. That's it. So yeah, just gonna make that pipe to go from there down to the manifold block down in here. There's the old hose, old pipe. I mean, probably should do, I mean, they're all pretty rusty. I mean, that's a job for later on, I guess. We could look at replacing them down the track, but I mean, they worked. The brakes were one thing that did work before I pulled this all apart, so I'm not going to go to the effort of replacing all the brake lines and everything now or this time around. Might do it later, but I mean, for what this thing is, as long as the brakes work, they don't need to be brand new. You know, as long as it stops, should be right. So anyway, we'll measure that up, we'll make that hose, bleed them up, and go from there. Alright, so that's done. Brake, clutch, good to go. Everything's working. Brakes were pretty good, just needed to clean. Clutch, you've seen what we've done there. It's a little bit harder, but anyway, we're all sweet now. So I think next episode we're going to pull the old 173 apart, the old Holden 6. It's going to have a bit of a look inside, it wasn't running right. Like, it was running, but it wasn't running right. So we'll suss out, see if we can figure out what the problem is. Try and get that running, get that going good. And then we might move on to some body panels. So anyway, that'll be next episode. Thanks for watching.
Smash that subscribe button. Just smash it!